Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by NovaCopy. When you think of NovaCopy, I want you to think about four things: document solutions, equipment, service for that equipment, supplies for that equipment. It is one-stop shopping with the added benefit of a free cost analysis of your business. There is a reason NovaCopy is one of the state's fastest growing businesses, and that's that they're darn good. There is no reason that you shouldn't call them this week. NovaCopy. All right. Time for our NovaCopy drawing board segment. We have Chuck over at the big board, and we're going to talk a little bit about Tennessee's bowl chances and how the SEC and how all of the bowl selection process has changed. Throw out the window what you remember about fans traveling. It used to be, it was all up to the bowls. They had the power, and if you traveled well, that's who they'd go with. Now the conferences, committees, the selection committee, they all have a role in this, and it's not just about fan travel. I want to explain this right off the bat. Let's go over to Chuck, and you can do your best Vanna White. We have the Vols are bowl eligible, but technically they are not guaranteed a bowl slot yet. Technically not guaranteed a slot, and that is because the SEC has 10 locked-in bowls, okay? There are 10 slots that are guaranteed. You could get more, but it hurt the SEC yesterday when Georgia and Mississippi State lost. The more teams that go in those big bowls, the better for all those 6-5, 6-6 teams at the bottom because their bowl chances rise. With those teams losing, they may drop out of those big bowls, pushing everybody down. And since the SEC only has 10 slots and you have, over there, 12 teams eligible, then you might have a numbers crunch. So let me show you what you've got in terms of the SEC bowl situation. Right now we should have a graphic, I think, somewhere. There we go. The SEC you're going to get your champion into one of the big 6 bowls, and that includes the playoffs maybe. If Alabama keeps winning there in the playoffs, you could get a Mississippi State at 10-2 into one of those other 4. But those big 6 are picked by the committee, all right? So that's what I was talking about. Georgia losing, Mississippi State losing. They lost their guaranteed slots, I think, up there. Capital One then picks next. Now, that's a bowl selection. That's the old-fashioned Capital One picks the next best team out of the SEC. Then you see 6 bowls bunched together. Outback, Music City, Tax Slayer, which is the Gator, Liberty, Texas, and Belk. Those bowls will turn in a list to the conference of who they want. The teams in the conference will turn in a list to the SEC and say, these are the bowls we would like to go to in this order. Mike Slive and the commissioner's office will then decide, all right, they want here, we'll try and get them here. No, this other team wants it, they're better, so we'll send this team here or there. You're going to get a lot of complaints to the conference office. They say they got them anyway. Well, they're going to get them this year. After that, you've only got 2 more slots available. The Birmingham Bowl and the Independence Bowl in that order, and those bowls make the decision. It's incredibly complicated, and it's a mishmash. Now, will Tennessee likely go to a bowl? Absolutely. Even if the SEC runs out of bowl slots, what they will do more than likely is negotiate with an open bowl somewhere else that doesn't have enough teams from its conference to fill it, and Tennessee would get in. But Jimmy, it is a more confusing system this year than what it's been in the past.
Well, it is. And the thing, I've talked to Scott Ramsey with the Music City Bowl, and he told me before a couple of weeks ago that depending on what happens, Tennessee would still be in play at 6-6. I don't think they're still in play with the Music City, in part because of what you said, those teams falling back down a little bit. I've got Tennessee in the Liberty Bowl. I've got them playing either West Virginia or Texas. I think the Liberty Bowl would love to get Texas and Tennessee, but then the Houston Bowl may have something to say about that because they probably want Texas A&M and Texas.
That's right, and the SEC, it looks like they're not going to match Texas A&M with Texas, so it could be they'll just take Texas against somebody else from the SEC. It's kind of confusing, guys. Let's go ahead and show you who Tennessee. Start flipping those cards for me, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Play your Vanna. We got Alabama, Missouri, and Mississippi State. Are your best 3 from the SEC. So you got to figure those teams are the ones that are most likely to go to. Look at that. Wonderful job. I want to buy a foul. Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi State right now the most likely to go into those big bowls at the top. Then you got Georgia, Ole Miss, Auburn, LSU. They're the next ones. Texas A&M 7-5. Florida 6-5. They had that game canceled. Arkansas 6-6. South Carolina 6-6. Tennessee 6-6. That's where Tennessee's in the mix. It's with those guys down at the bottom. Playoff selections are going to be announced next Sunday. The playoff selections will be announced next Sunday at 12:45. That means the bowls will trickle down from there. We will provide Tennessee Vol predictions on this show next Sunday. It'll be a detailed show of where Tennessee could go, who they might play. Guys, do you have any preferences of where you want Tennessee to go, or does it matter? Just getting the ball.
Liberty Bowl.
Liberty.
Everybody want Liberty?
I just get in the bowl. If you're not going to get the Music City, get the Liberty Bowl.
Chuck, what you think?
I would take the Liberty as well. I mean, it's in-state. You're going to have more West Tennessee fans there. My first preference, though, would have been the Music City Bowl.
Get
I'd love to
Tennessee.
see them, matched up against Duke or somebody from the ACC.
Get Tennessee a game in Memphis where you do need to recruit probably a little bit better. Go to the Liberty Bowl.
Let Drew Richmond get another hometown view of the Vols. I also think a matchup, Texas to me, I've watched them play a couple times. They're not that good. I mean, you play Duke, I don't like Tennessee's chances. You play Texas, okay, I'll take your chances. Yeah, plus Tennessee, Texas, that would make a 6-6 versus 6-6 bowl game somewhat interesting
Yes.
because it's so unusual. All right, in our overtime segment later today, we're going to talk more about where these bowls are played, how they break down, who the teams Tennessee can face it, and then we'll break it all down again next week when we know more information. But stick with us on Overtime today on SportsSource.tv. Hey, when we come back, did you hear that Donnie Tyndall had a couple of assistants leave? Yeah, we'll have to discuss the Donnie Tyndall mess, then more football. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Sports Source online at SportsSource.tv and on Twitter at SportsSourceTV.